getting together here on our live chat every day. Hey, we're all kind of hunkered down in place, so I thought I might as well do this 7 days a week, so that we're here and we can all share together. Nothing wrong with that, right? So it's a Saturday, and it is a nice, beautiful Saturday in Las Vegas, and I want to reflect on something that we talked about yesterday, which is that motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. So what that means is that you and I have to be out there moving around. So that's part of the reason I want to get outside today, is to encourage you to kind of do the same thing. Yeah, fresh air, Dwayne. That's 75 in Indiana, Shelley. Holy cow. It is 64 here, so got to get to Indiana for the sunshine, I guess, huh? That's incredible. Hey, Ted, you bet. Thank you for doing this, and thanks for your kind comment about being on tomorrow with Dirk. Dirk Beveridge is doing a program, and I'm going to be on that tomorrow. So look forward to that. Oh, gosh, Charles, you're getting rain in California. Cheryl, hello. Sherry, hello. Bob Pike. Gosh, I've been following your health situation and following you so closely, and so glad that you're here today, Bob. You are one of the giants in our business, and it's a privilege to know you, and glad you're doing well. So great to see you. So anyway, everybody, so yesterday we talked about that motion creates emotion. Weekend's a great time to do it. One of the things I want to, didn't say sunny to 75. One of the things I wanted to talk about today is, I was talking with my great friend Joe Calloway yesterday, and those of you in the speaking business are very aware of Joe. He wrote a great book called Category of One, which is just one of the best business books ever. And one of the things that Joe, and he has two daughters, that Joe and his wife Annette and his two daughters are doing, is, look, we got to stay in place, but that doesn't mean we can't all get in the car and, drive for a half an hour. And Tammy and I did that, I think I mentioned a while back. We got in the car and drove down. I live in Las Vegas, and we drove down and drove up and down the Strip, which was quite something to see with everything shut out. But the important thing is to be out just doing something. Hey, I can't even imagine on Netflix what's going to happen with Ozark this week. How many people are going to be binging on that? Nothing wrong with that. Enjoy your favorite shows, but make certain to take care of yourself, and make certain that you get out and you do something, that you find a way to not, because when we don't move, when we're not doing something, that encourages a downness. I don't want to say like depression from like clinical depression, but depression in the sense of, we just don't feel up for things. We don't feel good. So I want to encourage you to get out and walk around the block, or jump in your car and take a little drive, or do something. I catch up with everybody here. Pam's got a batch of muffins. I'll be right over. I wish I could, right? Good grief, Cheryl, warm there. Holy cow, 88. That's amazing. So, well, glad everybody's enjoying the weather and enjoying what they're doing. Wanted to talk today about we talked yesterday about how our priorities then shape our goals, and then our goals shape our daily actions. So I just wanted to have a word with you today about goals and another aspect for those of us that are in business. Goals have three properties that make them unique, and you have to be observant of all three properties. All right? Goals, number one, are specific. You've got to be precise about what you want. I think part of the problem that we often get into is that we have, for lack of a better term, non-specific goals. In other words, we say we want to do better. What does that mean? We say we want to improve our finances. Well, what does that mean? It's hard to take that next step that we talked about yesterday in terms of actions when our goals aren't specific to begin with. So part of the process I'd love to see you work on as we have this downtime here is specifically, what are you going to do when things get better? Specifically, what are you willing to do when times change and when situations change, and we kind of get back to a more normal way of doing it? Be very specific with what you want. Second thing, goals are realistic. Look, if you weigh 600 pounds and you're 65 years old, you probably are not going to be the jockey that wins the Kentucky Derby. It goes without saying, right? I'm never going to play in the NBA. I could be very specific that I want to be an NBA player. That's never going to happen, no matter how much I drive towards it. So your goals have to be very specific, but they also have to be realistic, right? Now, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer and say that there's things you can't do, but you and I both know there's things that you and I can't do. It depends on, it depends on a lot of things, but it depends on your age, depends on your fitness, all those things. However, one of the things, and Don Hudson was the first person to illuminate this for me, and then I heard it as well from Arnold Schwarzenegger when I worked with him, is that most people don't have unrealistic goals. Instead, they have unrealistic time frames. We have become such an instant gratification culture. We want something, we want it now, we don't want to have to wait. And so what do? We burden our specific goal with an unrealistic time frame. So as you're going through this planning now, give yourself the time to achieve the goal that it needs. Don't burden your specific goal with an unrealistic time frame. And by the way, let's say your goal is very specific. You're going to graduate from college with a bachelor's degree in political science. That's what I got, right? I mean, you're going to graduate from college with a bachelor's degree in political science. Okay, that's a very specific goal. But if I say by next year, that's probably not very realistic, right? That I could do 4 years of college in a year, that's not realistic. So what's important is that I graduate from college, not necessarily that I get it done by this time next year. So we don't want to burden our specific goal with an unrealistic time frame, but yet we're a culture of how much channel zapping have you been doing, right? We zap through channels, we microwave our coffee, we do all this instant gratification kind of thing. We're so used to that's part of what is happening to us now. We're so used to being able to get on a plane or get in a car or go wherever we want, whenever we want, to do things, that were only dreamed of a short time ago. So we've become so accustomed to instant gratification that for something to take some time to accomplish kind of runs against the grain of what we have trained ourselves to expect. Yet if it's really valuable, what really matters is that you achieve it, not so much when you achieve it. So if it takes me 4 years to graduate from college or 6 years, in the grand scheme of things, it's not when, it's that I achieved it. So we've got specific, we've got realistic, and the third one is it's got to be written. You got to write it down. After I learned this from the work I did on a couple of occasions with Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the things that he said is, he showed me his written goals, then said, Scott, where's your goals? And I'm like, well, let me tell you, they're up here. Well, if they're up here, they're a wish or a hope or a dream or a want or a desire, not a goal till you write it down. And I realized it's absolutely true, because when you write it down, what happens is it becomes your contract with yourself for achievement. You're committing to, you're pledging for yourself that this is what I shall do. So that becomes the third leg of that stool that becomes really important, is that it's not only specific and it's not only realistic with the time frame, but you've written it down. Because once you write that goal down, now that leads you into the third thing we talked about yesterday, which was specific actions that get you where you want to go. And those actions will make all the difference in the world. So there's your 3 steps to goal achievement. It's got to be specific, it's got to be realistic, and it's got to be written. And when you do those 3, then you are well on your way to attaining and achieving those things that you really desire. And now is the perfect time to be working on it. Now is absolutely the perfect time to be working on it while we have this time. Thank you, Ted. Contract with yourself. Yeah, thank you, Mary. What matters is that you achieve it, not that's it. Yeah. I assign the I want it now to the younger generation. Is that warranted? Ted, that's a great question. It's easy to assign it to another generation, yet I'll confess I'm guilty of it too, right? I mean, I joke that Tammy stands in front of the microwave and puts in instant oatmeal and says, hurry up. right? I mean, we don't want to wait on anything. And while we tend to associate that instant gratification with the younger generations, simply because they grew up with it that way. I mean, that's the way it's always been for them. I would suggest that folks in the generation that you and I belong to have learned that as well, right? We might not have had that in us our entire lives as these folks have, but it's there for all of us, right? I mean, it has absolutely impacted and affected the culture. Hey, Rita, thank you. Good to know the Howard family is doing good and that you're watching. I appreciate that. If you still lived around the corner, hey, if I still lived around the corner, I'd be over for some of those Muppets. The Jeremy Camp movie, I still believe. Charles, I haven't seen that yet. That's one of the ones we ought to put on our list to catch up with. Hey, Dan, glad that you're here. Always great talking to you. Dan is one of the members of our UBS Intensive program, our Ultimate Business Summit Intensive program that Larry Wingett and Randy Pennington and I do. And Dan is a very, very successful business professional and entrepreneur based in the East Coast, out in the New Jersey, New York City area there. So great to see you as always, Dan. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate that. So that's what I really wanted to communicate for us today is specific, realistic, and written. If you didn't see yesterday, go back because it's still online, and it'll talk about the how we work through the priorities that we have in life, which leads us to the goals that we have in life, which leads us to our actions, and how the three of those have to be congruent. As I mentioned yesterday, we put up an audio program that'll walk you through all this, how you create it, and it's absolutely free, not trying to sell you anything. All you need to do is go to distinctionnation.com, and you can download the audio program. There's a video there, and it's right on target for you. Hey, Jerry, good to see you. I owe you a response, too. We're going to talk about pricing in something I'm getting ready to send you some ideas I've put together on that. So look forward to talking to you there. Jerry is another one of our UBS Intensive folks, along with Cheryl. So appreciate these folks tuning in as well today. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to watch this. And we're going to do this every day at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Just a few minutes for us to talk about some of the challenges and changes and things that we're all experiencing right now. One of the things that often happens, too, with professionals that I've been talking about is we've been going 1,000 miles an hour, and all of a sudden now there's like a hard stop, and it's like a brick wall, right? Because we are so used to living and traveling and working at such a higher pace that this slowdown has really impacted and affected a lot of folks. Simply because it's such a dramatic change in how we live and how we do things. And so one of the things we're going to have to work on, and one of the things that may end up being a good thing through all of this, it's making the lemonade out of the lemons, is that maybe it will get us to pause, to tap the brakes a little bit, and to hit the pause button and really consider some of the things that are critically important as we move on. I mean, gosh, there's so many tragic stories in the news right now, too. I mean, so many tragic things. Did you see, I was reading this, it was a minister that proclaimed that the coronavirus was a hoax, and 10 days later he had died from the coronavirus. I mean, there are so many tragic stories that are happening right now. And I think when there's so much tragedy around us, that it really is important for us to look for the good. At the end of the day, there are things that we can have control over, and there are things that we have no control over. And so one of the things we have to recognize is one of the few things we have 100% control over is our attitude, how we approach something, how we respond to something, how we feel about things. And if we think that that's all out of our control, then we're going to spiral. But when we start trying to take control of our attitude, and at the end of the day, a lot of that is simply personal discipline. It is saying, I'm not going to listen to all the negativity. I'm not going to get caught in this spiral of despair. It doesn't mean that we want to be uninformed. Of course we need to be informed about what's going on. That's how we make better decisions. But it also means that we are going to say to each other, and most importantly, we're going to say to ourselves, I have to take control of what my attitude is going to be. I have to know how much I can be on social media. I have to know how I'm going to feel when I see something that I know is just idiocy on social media. I have to take control and watch programs like this where we're talking about things that we can do as opposed to, being trapped in this spiral of negativity. Look, I'm not one of those, I learned a lot of this from, I've mentioned before about listening to Jim Rohn audios and being such a fan of Jim Rohn. And one of the things I really, really love in Jim Rohn's message is that, if there wasn't night, we wouldn't appreciate the daylight. If there wasn't sadness, we wouldn't appreciate happiness. And I don't want to be one of those that is like, the sky is falling, but I don't want to be one of those either that thinks, hey, everything's great. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to. We have to find the balance in there of being informed and of taking the right action with what's going on, but simultaneously taking control of our attitude of how we feel about it and how we respond to it. So that's really the message for today. And part of how we do that is through this goal process that I've been talking about for the last couple of days. And I really encourage you to follow up on that. All you need to do is to go to distinctionnation.com, sign up. Again, there's nothing on there for you to buy even if you wanted to right now. So, go there. It's absolutely free. Just what you do is you listen to each one of these segments each day for the next 2 weeks, and you work through that process. And it takes you, 8 to 10 minutes to 12 minutes a day. And hey, you're going to be home anyway, right? Most of us are going to be home anyway. Why not? Take advantage of it. Just go to distinctionnation.com and it'll help you work through in greater detail the things that we've been chatting about here briefly. And again, nothing there for you to buy. Nothing there for you. Hey, this is free, but you need this to upgrade. Don't even have that. It's absolutely free. It's part of the service that I want to provide to help folks during times of challenge. Thank you, Mary. You bet. And Jerry, good luck as you're going through the recording process today. Ted, yeah, I think you're exactly right. There are good things that come out of crisis. Every crisis that I have personally encountered in my personal life, financial life, professional life, marriage life, if you're willing to learn the lessons, and if you're willing to, and that's the thing, Ted, those things are going to be there. Those good things are going to be there. The question is, who will take advantage of it, and who will learn from it and grow from it, and who will come out of it just as blind as they were as they went in. And there are people that will do that too, as you know. Again, we have to take control of our attitude. It is one of those things that we can control 100%. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about more good stuff right here, more good things right here. I'm just, those of you that know me from the speaking world are familiar with my friend Patricia Fripp, who says you should never, ever, ever use the word stuff. Unless it's Thanksgiving and you're working on a turkey, you should never use the word stuff. And that just popped in my head when I said that. So let me rephrase and say we're going to be talking about more great things tomorrow to help us keep our batteries charged, help us keep our spirits lifted, help us be more distinctive, and be able to use this time to help grow our level of distinction. Charles, thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks, Charles. That means a lot. I appreciate you. Hurry over for the freshest tornado warnings. Oh man, I'll tell you, that's one thing we don't have here in Vegas. Seems like is tornado warnings, but the heat gets pretty intense in the summer. We want, if this thing extends, we won't be doing this outside in July, I promise. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me. I'll be back on tomorrow at the same time, and we'll be doing this 7 days a week until everything kind of gets back to some degree of normal. So thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on Facebook, we had folks in Periscope. I got folks on Instagram watching live right now. By the way, all these go up on YouTube and LinkedIn. They're not letting us do this live, but we post a replay on LinkedIn. So it would mean the world to me if you would share it, either while we're doing it live tomorrow or share the replay if you could. The more folks we can get in here, the more exciting it becomes. So thanks, everybody, for your time. Thanks for watching. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. And as Dan says right there, be safe. Absolutely. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, everybody.